Hi guys, welcome to Pole Shift News. There's an important message for those people in our small community that still have an ear to listen. And that comes at a time in our lives, right now on this planet, where, as much as this arable good cropping land is going offline, the Bible seems to be coming more and more each day online. So before we get on with that important message, and I do believe a lot of you will get something out of it, I want to thank those 3 people that have made the effort to support this work that we do on this channel. At the end of the day, I don't expect to be making a living at what I do here, but at the end of the day, you've got to realise that I've got people in my unit that are looking at me, and they, during these times where, where I'm at least, and I know a few of you others are thinking whether, my time is better spent elsewhere for the benefit of my unit. But right now, I can't be selfish. I haven't got to that point yet where I'm just going to go out for myself, at least right now. So, I'm thankful for those people that are helping me push this cart and continue with this work that we keep doing on this channel. The other thing I want to say is, trust me guys, if I had unlimited funding, the observatory would be monitoring pretty much everything we could think of. And, it's not like I'm trying to maximise my time to improve the financial situation for not just the observatory but for me as well. And, I've recently started to write a book, and we're probably 6 months away from even finishing that. And, we'll just see where that goes. But, there's a lot of interesting stuff in the book I'm going to put in there. So, just to see where that goes, we can only hope that every little thing we do helps. So, the other thing I was thinking of recently, and it is to do with some of the things that we're going to be facing in the future, was manufacturing polytunnels. That's one of the ideas I had. Manufacturing agricultural polytunnels and assembling them out on locations. I've been looking into it with regards to the materials, the process. I'm pretty sure I've got the skills, as it falls similarly in line with some construction that I was into many years ago. But I'm just thinking, with the way things are going, these things are going to become more common on our open countrysides as the weather continues to disfavour agricultural production. And I think that that it might be the right time now to probably get into something like that, so at least some of the areas that are hit with unfavourable rains and droughts, that at least inside a controlled environment like a polytunnel, these farmlands can still be made usable with that slight protection from the elements. So, having said that, guys, it's maybe something you guys would want to do yourselves. I'm just putting that idea out there. There is an opportunity there coming. The message is to do with this picture that we're looking at now, the cities. These are going to be toxic places in the future to live. And with all the data we've showed, as grand solar minimums come in, temperature goes down, a lot of agricultural line goes off. It means less food production. Couldn't come at a worse time than it has done today, because there has never been so many people here. And with the struggle of trying to get jobs to participate in the monetary system, as well as an increasing population, making that even worse, because if there's a inundation of workforce are looking for jobs, it means that the payment for those jobs are going to go down, because it's like everything in surplus. If there's too much of it, it's always less value. If there's a lot of it, there's always high value. And the message is clearly this, guys. These cities are not sustainable for human beings to live. Remember, minimum amount of land that can be grown on is around about an acre per person. So you look at these cities that hold tens of thousands of people, and there isn't anywhere in these cities that anything can grow. You know what is going to be the inevitable outcome of, a conglomeration of problems that are going to start to filter into these cities. At the moment, the governments want us all living in these places, but that's fine, because these cities are heavily dependent on things being imported all the time into them and out of them. The waste out of them, the water into them, the food into them, the electricity into them, the energy. And of course these places need to sustain people in work in order to participate and get those monies that they need, to function in these little cities. And we've seen from history, looking at what happens when we have such times as grand solar minimums, how these empires, and not just cities but multitudes of cities, collapse. And we're seeing the similar patterns now. I hope that you're seeing the similar patterns now around the world. A lot of these countries are importing cheap labour, and that's making it worse for. I know that this is a massive problem now in this country, in the UK, in the United States, in Canada, and straight across Europe. Cheap labour coming in everywhere, even outside of Europe. It's pretty much everywhere, and at some point they're going to run out of cheap labour. But the point is this: is that as labour replaces the nationals of the country, it's going to leave a massive surplus of people looking for work. You just add all the problems that we're going to be facing, and cities are not going to be the places to live. At least if you've got a little bit of land, or you've got a reasonable sized garden, you can put a small polytunnel in there and you can grow some foods. And if you've got a bit of knowledge of preserving foods, you can keep some of those things up until the winter. And what this means for you guys is that you don't spend, a proportion of your salaries or even incomes in the shops on these foods. If you're growing them yourself, you save that money. And I think this is going to be key for the future, especially short-term future with all what's taking place. I mean, we're about to see over in North Korea, I believe, because of the problem with famine at the moment, and there is a problem over there in that country. I mean, we're hearing it off other channels that are covering it more than what we do on our channel, because we try and focus mainly on the magnetic poles. And believe me, that in itself it's enough. We know how much this Earth is being affected by the migrating poles, the changes of the jet streams, and the weakening of the magnetosphere, and as a result, floods, droughts, places that usually have regular 4 seasons no longer having those seasons. It's all down to the magnetic pole shift. And adding to that, now we've got a grand solar minimum. My message today in this video is, if you can, look into, if you're living in one of these cities, look into getting out of it. Because you don't want to be like when we see, there's a bit of a panic, everybody goes to the shops, cleans out the shops, and it's regardless of what even they're putting in the shopping basket, so long as they've got something. And I don't quite know what goes through the mind. Maybe a couple of wiper blades, they're hoping might be something that they can exchange later on, because if they're even clearing out those sort of things just because they've got money and they need to buy something because everybody else is in the shop, it's just I think sometimes it's unfathomable. What you don't want to be is in a situation where you're looking for that little place that can probably help support your little family with a bit of food production that you can produce yourselves. You don't want to be, that person that can't secure that for yourselves. And I think sometimes it's a good thing we've only got 13,000 subscribers on this channel, because even if the whole of the 13,000 of you took on board what I'm saying to you and went out today and got yourself somewhere secured, out in perhaps a little village somewhere, or not so heavily dependent on importing things into places like this, these concrete jungles, because these places are going to be completely empty during an economic collapse. Because let's face it, if you live on the 25th floor of one of these buildings and no water's being pumped up and no sewage is being pumped out, they're not going to be the very pleasant place to live. So what I'm saying to you guys is, just start putting this in your thoughts, and if you're making plans, start preparing for these things to happen, because, we've seen that this has happened many times in our history as we went through these periods of times. So, it's not like it's not going to happen. Although I can understand with some of you guys out there, you feel that all this isn't going to happen. And trust me, there will be people when all this dawns on them, and when this does finally happen, that will completely have a mental breakdown, because their whole lives and their reality, which, if you live in these cities, will be completely the opposite. When these cities don't function, when gangs start looting, they're not the best places to be, at least if you're in a community where there's lesser people and you have those, luxuries like a garden or somewhere to grow a little bit of food. You're going to be in a much better position, and you need to start mentally preparing yourselves for this to happen, because I think with what we've looked at, it's going to. There's no two ways about it. I've been talking about various amount of things of, back here in the UK with a few people that I know, and, I'm saying, look at what's happening with the Met Office. This is an organisation responsible for delivering regular weather updates, but, a couple of weeks ago, they never even predicted the scale of event with regards to that storm we had in the UK. And if you look at their predictions with regards to temperatures, they're giving themselves a leeway of at least 10 degrees. So they're saying minimum temperature could be 8 and maximum temperature could be around 18 degrees. That is playing it safe, if you ask me. And the reason why they're playing it safe is because the weather has become, even for these, well-established organisations that have invested great amounts of money in weather modelling systems, they cannot predict it anymore. So, my God, my message here is for you guys, is that, you need to start realising that these things are going to at some point happen. And, although they don't feel like they are at the moment, it's because they're gradually happening, and it's like the frog in the saucepan that's slowly having the heat turned up. He's obviously going to stay alive a lot longer than if we just chucked him straight into the hot water. That's where we are. I said all along that on planetary scale systems, with all these geoanomalies that are taking place, the inertia is slow. But trust me, 5 years ago, we was talking about grand solar minimum, sunspots dying off on this channel, and sure enough, we're here right now. So they do come along. These events do happen when you have good data to, be able to predict these things, and they are going to happen. It's just a matter of time, and people need to start coming around to these facts. One of the things, in one of the chapters that I'm writing in this book at the moment, I'm talking about this very fact right now. How people are failing to see what's going on around them. And, these are the people that are going to probably not fare too well when these things really start to compile. And they are, trust me, right now, they're compiling. It's like I've always explained, we're in a gauntlet. There's many obstacles, and we need to be aware of what these obstacles are and how they're going to affect us. And, we need to put some contingency plans, at least, for our families, because there will be, in any event, survivors. And, it's going to be those people that survive that have probably put up the provisions and, had a bit of foresight to make a bit of future planning. It's your loved ones at the end of the day. It's your families. And, I don't think it really matters where you are on this planet. The future events are going to, at some point, be affecting you and your individual units back at home. And for that reason, I'm just putting it out there. These cities are toxic places to live during these times, and I wouldn't want to be one of the people that wait around in a city till it fails before I want to make a move out and secure something better for my family. Because if you do that, you're going to be at the back of the queue, probably behind another million people that are looking for the exact same thing during that time as you. What you need to do is make a decision for yourselves, as what has been presented, not just on this channel but on other channels, and say to yourself, is it likely? And if it is, then you need to act. Remember, I've been pointing out that we at the moment stand on a train track and the train's heading towards us, and I'm just saying, right now we've got time to move ourselves. Don't wait till the train has got that close where just as you're about to move you get spanked by the train. Don't wait that long. It's always better if you act well in advance. So that's the message, guys. I'm just talking solely about the toxicity of these cities in which the majority of the people live, and I'm trying to say to you guys that at some point these are going to go offline, just like the agricultural lands are going offline, and you don't want to be in them during those periods of times when they happen, because I am confident that this is going to be the case. What I'm seeing, and from my perspective, is a global event affecting every country, economically first, and then secondly with regards to the nature of this planet, with regards to weather anomalies and a lot of other things as well. So just bear that in mind, guys. I really would love to encourage more people to support. I hope that some of you guys out there do realise that hearing this sort of information is beneficial to people, and also to the people that do hear it. And I can only tell you guys that this is international, this channel. We have people view this all around the world, and we have about 1,500 people every week now going on to poleshiftnews.com to view it. And it's down to a little bit of effort and time from ourselves, and a little bit of support that I get from you guys, because without that we wouldn't be doing this right now. And if nobody was doing anything like this right now, we wouldn't be helping anyone, and we wouldn't be they would just be subject to mainstream bullshit. It's as plain and simple as that. So the link's down there. If I can encourage a few more of you to support and help it, then that's great. We're doing the best thing we all can do. And with that, guys, I'm going to say what I usually do. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll say what I normally do. Bye for now.